Stand at the gates of old Prague 800 years ago, and you would feel a city built entirely from raw fear, deep faith, ash, and fire. Long before it became a postcard fairy tale skyline, Prague was a brutal, breathing city carved from cold grey stone and old superstition. Its Gothic towers rose over narrow, crooked streets where kings, monks, thieves, and merchants all fought for that same crowded, muddy ground. This is medieval Prague, the beating Gothic heart of old Europe, where every single stone hides a story of ambition, fear, and raw survival. High above the winding river, Prague Castle loomed like a stone crown, silently watching over all the chaos unfolding far beneath its walls. Inside its cold halls, kings plotted wars and fragile alliances, while drafts moved endlessly through rooms lit only by trembling candlelight. Guards paced along the frozen ramparts through the night, their breath visible in the icy air as tired eyes scanned the valley for danger. Every single stone of that castle had been dragged slowly uphill by exhausted laborers who would never once live to see its finished grandeur. Beneath its towering walls, the entire city depended on the whims of rulers who could grant prosperity or order sudden, brutal destruction. The castle was never just a home for kings. It was the beating heart that decided whether all of Prague thrived or slowly, quietly starved. Down below the castle walls, the Vltava River carried barges loaded with timber, grain, and the desperate dreams of an entire waiting city. Long before stone bridges ever existed, creaking wooden crossings groaned under merchants racing to reach the market before nightfall came. Fishermen worked those freezing waters at dawn, knowing that a single bad catch could mean hunger for their entire waiting family that week. The river was Prague's lifeline, yet it was also merciless, capable of flooding streets and drowning hope in a single violent, sudden storm. Boatmen shouted prices and warnings across the water, their rough voices echoing off old stone walls, still damp from the cold morning fog. To cross that river was to cross between two entirely different worlds, the castle's raw power and the merchant chaos of the town below it. In the old town square, the air thickened with smoke, foreign spices, shouting traders, and the constant stench of 1,000 unwashed crowds. Merchants proudly sold fine cloth from distant lands, their stalls glowing with colors most ordinary peasants would never once afford to own. Bakers, butchers, and blacksmiths competed fiercely for space, their hammers and ovens filling the square with a constant, deafening noise. Beggars pressed silently against the church walls, while nobles rode past wrapped in furs, completely ignoring the suffering beneath their horses. A single rumor could spark instant panic in this square, sending crowds surging toward the gates in fear of plague, fire, or foreign invasion. This crowded square was Prague's true pulse, chaotic and endlessly alive, where entire fortunes were made and lives collapsed in a single day. In workshops hidden behind crooked wooden doorways, craftsmen quietly shaped Prague's identity, one careful hammer strike at a time each day. Goldsmiths guarded their secret techniques fiercely, knowing a single stolen method could ruin an entire family's hard-earned legacy forever. Powerful guilds controlled who could work, who could sell, and who was cast out to beg in the cold, unforgiving shadow of their once proud trade. Apprentices labored for many years without any pay at all, hoping quiet loyalty might one day finally earn them a workshop entirely of their own. The endless clang of hammers and hiss of forges never truly stopped, echoing through the narrow alleys long after the sun had finally set. These humble craftsmen built far more than simple tools and jewelry. They quietly built the very stone and iron soul of all medieval Prague. Rising slowly above the surrounding chaos, the unfinished cathedral promised salvation to a population utterly terrified of eternal damnation. Bells rang out warnings and blessings alike across the rooftops, dictating the rhythm of daily life for every single soul within the walls. Priests preached endlessly of judgment, while plague and famine reminded citizens just how fragile their short, earthly lives truly always were. Pilgrims arrived from distant foreign lands, kneeling before ancient relics they truly believed could heal sickness or forgive great sin. Inside candlelit stone chapels, fear and faith blurred quietly together, comforting a city that never once felt fully safe or secure at all. For many desperate citizens, the cathedral was the only place where a beggar and a noble knelt beneath the exact same trembling shadow of God. Wealth in Prague was worn openly and proudly, rich furs and jewels announcing status long before a single word was ever even spoken aloud. Yet just a few streets away, entire families crowded into single rooms, sharing warmth against the brutal Bohemian winter nights each year. Children worked from the very moment they could walk, hauling water, tending fires, or quietly assisting inside crowded, noisy family workshops. Women quietly ran households, markets, and workshops alike, their endless labor rarely recorded yet absolutely essential to the whole city. Disease spread quickly through the narrow alleys where waste ran freely, and clean drinking water remained a rare and precious daily luxury. Still, laughter and music rose loudly from the crowded taverns each night, proof that simple joy survived even the harshest of conditions. When darkness finally fell, Prague transformed completely, its streets ruled by shadows, thieves, and flickering torchlight alone each night. Fire remained the city's greatest fear, fully capable of erasing generations of hard work within a single, terrifying, brutal hour of chaos. Watchmen walked the narrow streets calling out the hour, partly to comfort frightened citizens and partly to warn of sudden, lurking danger. A single careless spark near the crowded wooden quarters could send entire neighborhoods spiraling into screaming, smoke-filled chaos and ruin. Even powerful kings feared the night, doubling their guards as whispers of rebellion moved quietly through the darkened, crowded taverns below. And yet each morning Prague rose again, stubborn and unbroken, ready to quietly rebuild whatever the long and dangerous night had finally taken. Through fire, plague, siege, and centuries of relentless upheaval, Prague somehow refused to disappear beneath the crushing weight of history. Every Gothic spire you admire today was born from human hands that suffered, believed, and built without ever once giving up all their hope. The old castle still watches over the river, the square still echoes with footsteps, and this ancient story never truly fully ends here at all. If this journey through medieval Prague managed to pull you into the past, make absolutely sure you like this video before you leave today. Subscribe right now, because many more forgotten cities and hidden histories are patiently waiting to be walked through together with all of us. Tell us in the comments below which city or civilization you want brought back to life in our very next cinematic historical reconstruction.